in.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to give it just another minute or two for folks to filter in, unless Wheeler tells me we need to wait for longer than that.
I will not tell you that. Everybody that's in the waiting room has been admitted.
Okay. Well, we will go ahead and get going. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to the fourth quarter Coastal Resilience Technical Advisory Committee meeting. I am Matt Wells. I'm the Director of the Department of Conservation and Recreation. I don't believe that Secretary Boyles will be able to join us this morning, so I will be managing the meeting on his behalf. We have a packed agenda today, and so we're going to get right into it. Wheeler has been tracking folks as they have come in for roll call, so we don't need to do that. Just housekeeping items. I think we're all familiar with how this works by now, but if you keep yourself on mute, if you're not talking, if you do want to be recognized, if you'd raise your hand in the little reactions function. If you are a member of the public and you wish to make public comment at the end, please send a message to Wheeler Wood, and Wheeler will add you to the queue. There we go, Wheeler's waving. So we will move into the adoption of the agenda, which is up there. Wheeler, do we want folks to drop a motion in the chat, or do we want somebody to pop off mute and just move the adoption of the agenda?
Part of an effort to declassify documents, and in the final chaotic hour.
All right, if somebody's just willing to come off mute, if I could get a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved. This is Jessica Whitehead.
Jess.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, Sean Cromless.
Sean, any discussion? Not seeing any hands raised. All in favor, pop off mute, say aye.
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 All right. Anybody opposed? Any opposition? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted, and we move on to the adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting. Where the slide for that is, just. All right. The minutes were distributed with the materials. Any discussion on the minutes?
Residents, but what
Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
So
Seconded.
I see
Who
Bill.
did that?
Is there a
Mark
second?
Lukenbach moved to.
Mark Lukenbach. Okay, we'll give Bill the first and Mark the second. Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor, please pop off mute and say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Not hearing any opposition. The meetings are adopted. Appreciate that. I think those are the only votes that we have today, and so we will move into DCR updates. I'm going to be quick because I know we got a lot of content to go through, but just very briefly wanted to touch on a couple of things. Matt, if you would advance that. Resilience Coordination Working Group wrapped up their efforts a couple of weeks ago. Y'all will recall we discussed this before. This is a very broad-based stakeholder group. You can see the participants on the slide. They came together to talk about how we could do a better job of coordinating the resilience resources that we have and capturing additional resilience resources. That group adopted 23 recommendations with no opposition. Won't go through them all, but key recommendations: shifting the CRO to report to the governor in a non-cabinet role and establishing an office to support the CRO. adopting a hub and spoke model for resilience, where the CRO and his team service the hub to coordinate efforts across the spokes, which are the agencies which will retain their resilience-related responsibilities. To help facilitate that, establishing an interagency working group headed by the CRO to support tasking the CRO with maximizing the availability and use of funding and providing the opportunity for them to serve as a non-federal sponsor for Army Corps projects in some circumstances, providing knowledge-based support to localities. And then relevant to this group, one of the recommendations was to establish a new group or to rescope this group with appropriate statewide recommendations to support the development and implementation of the statewide plan. I think there's a recognition that we need, as we begin to develop the statewide plan, we need to bring statewide voices into the mix. So this group will continue its work as we sort of think through how a statewide group would look. And then finally, adopting a statutory framework to ensure oversight and transparency for the Community Flood Preparedness Fund and the Resilient Virginia Revolving Fund. Speaking of that, we closed applications on round 4 of the CFPS in November. We got 66 applications for $76 million. All of those applications were for grants. There were $50 million offered in grants, and so staff are in the process of scoring that. In alignment with the transparency commitments that we made, we are standing up a review advisory committee that will be meeting soon to review draft scoring, provide recommendations to me and to the Secretary of Ultimate Adoption, but obviously a lot of interest in round 4 of that. We also closed applications for the Resilient Virginia Revolving Fund this week. We got one application for $500,000 in the capitalization of local revolving fund categories. That was the max you could apply for. I think it was always sort of our expectation that this is going to take a little while to get up and running. Loan funds typically do. So we're going to be looking at that, talking to our stakeholders and charting a path forward on that fund as well. But obviously still quite a bit of interest from our partners in localities in receiving money to support resilience. So happy to see that. Looking ahead a little bit, we're going to dig into what we've been up to with the Phase 2 of the Coastal Resilience Master Plan, but sort of behind the scenes. We have been working on our planning and consulting RFP, have been interviewing multiple vendors. You'll recall that the approach that we're taking is to do a task-based approach where we may pick up one or more contractors and assign them tasks over the life of the project. So we are in the final phases of that. I want to thank the DCR team who has been helping review those applications. I anticipate an award in January of 24, and then a task order starting in February and March. And obviously we've got some ongoing work with Dewberry based on the previous contract to kind of button up some of the work from Phase 1. One other thing before I turn it over to the Matt Dallin Show, we are hiring. We have posted a new resilience planner position that's going to be similar to the work that Carolyn Heaps-Picaro is doing for us. Obviously, this team has a lot of work. They do a tremendous job with the resources that they have, but they are only 2 people, and so I think they are looking forward to having another teammate. So that one is posted. I don't know, Matt, do you remember when it closes?
It's open until it fills, but we're going to pull our first round of applications on the 5th of January. All
right, so 5th of January. If you know somebody who wants to come work for us, we're a lot of fun. We're doing a lot of great work, but happy to have that one in the hopper. So I'm going to pause there. I didn't see any hands raised. Before I turn it over to Matt, any questions on the things? I know that was fast, but like I said, we got a lot of ground to cover today. All right, Matt, take it away.
All right, thank you, Director Wells. I'm going to provide you all with an update on Phase 2 of the Coastal Resilience Master Plan. I want to start that off just kind of recapping the overview of what we're working to accomplish here, and then give you all an update on the Pluvial modeling effort, and then the Coastal Resilience Web Explorer, and the new user portal that's available to EDGE projects. So just bringing it back to the beginning and the legislative requirements for Phase 2 of the Coastal Resilience Master Plan, and needs to be prepared no later than the end of next year, which leaves us about 12 months from now. There's 3 key elements that were in the legislation that Phase 2 needs to incorporate: all major flood hazards, including the precipitation-driven flooding, comprehensive risk assessment of our critical human and natural infrastructure, and then our inventory of projects, getting new projects in there and status of things that have been previously implemented, as well as incorporating our community outreach and engagement to inform the development of this plan moving forward. Based on those requirements, we've laid out this plan for how we will be providing this information and delivering it. So one is an update to our Coastal Resilience Web Explorer, which is our online web-based essentially map service to see where the impacts are, where's flooding, what are they impacting, providing some community context, and then what projects are being done to address those concerns and some funding opportunities. The second is a PDF document plan, which is a summary of that information. And the components that are going into that as well are some more financial needs for flood resilience and some of the subcommittee recommendations that can come out of our efforts here. I wanted to pause here for a minute, and if you have any input on what we're delivering, we have an end user survey that is out there right now, and if you've not received it, let us know. We can send you a link to fill out the survey so that we're providing these 2 deliverables, both our Web Explorer and our PDF plan, so that it's usable for you all. And that gets us to our next slide, is really who is this plan meant for? Who are the primary audiences and end users? We're looking really at PDCs and the localities that they serve, as well as the tribal governments. We're here to help provide a base level of information that allows you, hopefully, to more efficiently and effectively do the planning work that you are doing, and that we're all using consistent information as we move forward. So a lot of this information that we're providing can help you do more detailed vulnerability assessments where you know your communities more than what we know here in Richmond, and trying to figure out how you can collaborate with some of your partners because flooding does extend beyond our jurisdictional boundaries, and looking more at the watershed-based approach, and then trying to find opportunities to fund some of those items. And so hopefully some of this data can support some of your grant applications, make you more aware of some of the funding opportunities that are out there, as well as to provide some justification as to why we need action. So who's being impacted, what type of impacts do they have on our people, our economy, on our environment, to help support all the work that you all are doing. On that, going kind of back to the timeline and our schedule, again, need to get this prepared by the end of December. We are overall on target to meet that deadline and are working hard to stay on that, and are looking forward to get our additional contractor support at the end of the next quarter on to really help us finish this work out by the end of next year. What's not included in the schedule right now is the actual document production, as well as the update to the Web Explorer as much. So we're going to probably shorten some of these timeframes at the end to make room for that, and are working on that schedule with both Dewberry, and we'll be working on that with our new contractors. Any questions on what we are doing and trying to accomplish with Phase 2 of the master plan before I move into some of the more detailed updates? All right. So I wanted to give an update on the major flood hazards component and the pluvial modeling work that we've been working with on Dewberry, or working with Dewberry on. We've completed the pilot study and its review, and have now started into the full production modeling. So that's a great accomplishment. Thank you all for your input and helping us refine some of the pilot work that we did for this full production effort. That is scheduled to be delivered early, mid-April. So we're still on target with that, and have Dewberry working on that effort right now. Just some of those updates that we took from the pilot study to full production, some of the changes, and that really want to thank you all for the input that you provided. It's very helpful, and we're hoping it's making it a more useful product that we put out there. One is the depth threshold. So on the pluvial side, the modeling can show any depths where flooding can exist at any point of a rainfall event. Based on some other literature, FEMA guidance, we have a half a foot depth threshold to limit those smaller depths to really focus on where is it more impactful, again, trying to get to the criticality of this flooding. So that's one. The other is the mosaic of our best available land cover data. This is one that we had started thinking we were going to just use a consistent statewide land cover data set, heard your feedback, looked into it, and the Chesapeake Conservancy high resolution data covers all but 5 localities in the project area. So we're going to use that Chesapeake land cover data where it exists. Where that doesn't exist, we're going to use the high resolution Virginia statewide land cover data set. We also have some watershed boundaries that extend beyond Virginia, and our statewide data does not. So where that happens along the border with North Carolina, we're going to be using the national land cover data set. We have been talking to North Carolina, and they are working to update some of their high resolution land cover data, but it won't be available in time for this effort. But that is some partnerships that we're working on developing with them for both our expansion of our land cover data set statewide with the new update next year, as well as working with them so that we can work together along the border. The next item is the precipitation input values. The pilot study used the values directly derived from the Marissa Atlas 14 adjustment factors, and they're very prescriptive and almost gave a false sense of precision that we really don't have with values like 3.42 inches of rain for this event. We're moving now to a fixed interval approach, so that at the 2-hour duration, that's going to be half an inch intervals, and then at the 6-hour and 24-hour duration, those are going to be 1-inch intervals, and those intervals cover the range from the current Atlas 14 projections all the way up to the RCP 8.5 long-term projections from Marissa. We used the 100-year adjustment factor, and the most conservative one, so up to the 90th percentile confidence interval adjustment factor, which was 1.79, which is in Fluvanna County, which is, county itself is outside of our project area, but we have watersheds that extend into Fluvanna County. That's also the largest for the state. So we think this will give us a very long shelf life of this precipitation data, that as the climate models continue to evolve and update, we can continue to crosswalk and pick the best applicable interval value that represents a certain climate scenario and return interval. So again, thank you very much for your input. I think it's going to make this product a lot better, a lot longer use. So this is really what we're here for, is to get your input and to help improve the process.
We have a comment from Mary Carson in the chat. She's asking, could you please repeat the 2-hour intervals versus 6-hour intervals, for example?
Sure. So the 2-hour duration storms, we're going to have a half an inch interval. And then on the 6-hour and 24-hour duration storms, they are a 1-inch interval. And we can provide the full, what that top and bottom end range is. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm more than happy to send that out to you all. Any other questions on our pluvial modeling update? All right. Moving on to the Coastal Resilience Web Explorer and the user portal update. This was completed on time back in September of this year, and at the end of September, we completed our bulk upload. We're now transitioning over towards training and trying to get more people into our user portal, getting more projects updated, and I'd like to spend some time today just giving an overview of what this user portal is, how it can work, what it can do for you, and what it looks like. So this is the new website to access the Coastal Resilience Web Explorer. You can sign in the top right button, And I'll go over how you need to access this at the end of the presentation. But again, very similar feel and format to our Coastal Resilience, the Web Explorer. After you sign in, you will be taken to a projects and initiatives summary that has just a certain amount of attribute fields to see what projects are in here. So you can view all the projects, and that's all approved projects, not just projects that you may be responsible for. From this summary, you can either double click on a row to open up an existing project or initiative, or you can start a new project, a new initiative, or copy an existing project and initiative to start a new one. Why would you want to copy it? Our thinking is some of these projects are transferable to other locations. So if you have a project that worked well and you want to do it somewhere else, it has some of that information predefined in there that you can copy, put it in a new location, just update the map feature. Also, as these projects evolve, especially from conceptual and programs to design and construction, a lot of the detailed information changes, whether it's primarily costs are a big factor that are update, but maybe some of the different hazards you're addressing or some of the different techniques or whether it's a green, gray, and the different types of construction you're implementing, that can all evolve over time. You can, as it evolves through those major milestones and projects, copy it so we don't lose that initial information and start a new project with all that same information ready for you. And we would archive the old and start anew. So if you double-clicked or started anew, this is what the detailed view looks like. A couple arrows here that we're pointing out. One, it'll show up just what's in there. If you want to make any edits, you would click the edit button and start changing the information. Some of it is drop downs, some of it is select one or more, and then there's open field entry as well. Point to another item on the screen here, which is change the submission status, and I'll get back to that in a few lines, but there is kind of a workflow of starting, drafting, submitting, revising, approving, and archiving that I'll get to in a couple slides. At the bottom of the initiatives detail is where we have the mapping function. And so there's three ways to either add or edit where your project is or where the project benefits are. So you can directly edit on the map, clicking on the little square above the trash can, and that allows you to edit and add new features to the map. You can use a predefined location, so these are locality boundaries or PDC boundaries that you can select, and it'll automatically use that, or you can upload your own. So if you have a zipped polygon shapefile, it can be multi-feature. So if you have a project that is in multiple locations and you have multiple polygons, it can accept that and implement and import that into the project. So I think we've added a lot of functionality to help put the geographic limits of the projects in here. Once you're done with your edits and you're ready to submit, that's where you get to our submission workflow. And so just kind of working down from the top, where you create a new entry, either from a blank template or you're duplicating, that starts in the development status. Once you are completed with that, you are able to submit it for manager review. The manager review will notify DCR through an automatic email that a project or an initiative or funding opportunity as well has been submitted for review, and then we'll go into our system and review it. We are reviewing it primarily for administrative completeness, not for the best project, the worst project, but administrative completeness, and does it meet the mission of the Web Explorer? Is it tied to flood resilience? If it is, and it's all in there, we approve it. If we need some revisions, we would change the DCR would change the submission status to revisions needed. You would get an automatic email. We would follow up and say, could you please update or change these fields? In addition to getting it approved, we also have the functionality to archive it, save it for later so that it's no longer displayed on the public Web Explorer, or just delete it because it was created in error or it's no longer valid and we don't want that record anymore. But once it is approved, it automatically shows up in the Coastal Resilience Web Explorer. So if you go to our Web Explorer and the Projects and Initiatives tab, after DCR approves it, it's automatically up there, which means your project information is shared with the larger community. It also means that the functionality for funding opportunities is activated. So if you get your project approved, you can come look at it in the Web Explorer, scroll down to the bottom where the funding opportunities are filtered, and see what funding opportunities could be eligible to support this project or initiative. And this is all the same, so whether it's a project or initiative that's being added or edited or approved, that same workflow works for funding opportunities as well. And the funding opportunities, getting those, and DCR is working to get more funding opportunities into the system, but we also could use your help, and we can allow other users to add funding opportunities to this as well to help get that updated and maintained. So now that you've given us your information, what if you want that information back to use it for yourself? Well, we have that functionality that you can do that. So within the public-facing Web Explorer, if you're in the Projects and Initiatives tab, scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can download the tabular project data, so that's all the approved data, all the approved projects and initiatives in the Web Explorer. It does not have all the fields, it's kind of a condensed summary of those projects, but that'll be an Excel report you can download. You can also download the shapefile of all the approved projects and initiatives as well. So that you can bring that back into your GIS system. If you want to make any edits to your projects and send that back to us, you have that functionality. You can use those shapefiles to create maps, to bring that into resilience plans, hazard mitigation plans, or other type of planning activities that you're doing. So we want to give back this information that you have to you, so hopefully it's providing some more use to you all. What if you want more information? Again, there's only a summary in the Web Explorer. You can download the full attribute list for all the projects and initiatives that are approved and any that are pending for that you have ownership on within the user portal. So there's a reports button at the bottom of the projects and initiatives summary. That is the projects and initiatives list. That is everything that we have on these approved projects that are in the system coming back to you. It can be joined to the shapefile that you download from the Web Explorer to have access to all this information. I think we've got some good functionality there. We have been busy uploading and approving, but you all have really been busy at the PDCs collecting projects from your localities. So again, want to thank you for working with your localities to get projects into the Web Explorer through our bulk upload that we partnered with DEQ's Coastal Zone Management Program, and then through the 8 coastal PDCs. We received 143 projects and initiatives that are now into our Coastal Resilience Web Explorer. We've reviewed them, approved it, it's showing up, but we do know that more work is needed. As we move forward towards our gaps analysis for phase 2 to understand what is going on and trying to work with this data, we know we're going to have to probably reach back out to get some clarification on some of the project extents or limits, or some of the different information, some of the costs. So we'll be reaching out soon to work on that information. We are also working on getting other resilient project activities into the database beyond localities and PDCs, are starting to get some of the state agency projects in there. And this works for not only what is planned, but completed projects to know where we have successfully implemented some of these resilience activities. VDEM recently published a story map that showed all of their completed mitigation projects, a lot of house raisings over the years. We were able to consume that data, put it in here, and now VDEM has their projects showing up as where they've completed those projects. And we're working to get our other state agency partner projects into the database, because we're all part of the solution for providing resilience. We're just trying to get the visibility of all the different actions that are going on so that we can be more coordinated in our approach to flood resilience.
Matt, this is Louis. On that previous screen where you've got down MPPDC is only submitting one project, we would ask that you put an asterisk beside that, because that one project is a structured program that protects the entire Middle Peninsula. It's very different than saying you've got one culvert pipe that you're working on.
Understood, Louis. That's right. Quantity is not as important as the quality. And you have a comprehensive project that shows up over your entire PDC boundary. And that is providing services across that whole, your whole service area.
Yeah, that's correct. So we know that, but strangers that pick up the report to read that can't tell that from what's written, at least in this kind of slide or this kind of context. So all that we're asking is just try to be cognizant of the difference between it, because I think that's a good way of describing it, is quality versus quantity. Thank you.
Yep. Not a problem. Yeah, we can add an asterisk and update the slide before we put it out with the meeting notes. And we have been talking to Eastern Shore PDC and HRPDC about trying to get some more updates into the plan before we start our gas.
And Jess has her hand raised.
Jess?
Hey, to Louis's point, which is a really, really good one, would it be possible for all of these projects, because I suspect that as we go forward in time, there will be more like Louis's program, to somehow separate this out, separate projects out to say, what is a program? What is an individual project? How many sites are being served? Something like that, that provides a little bit more information with what you're already taking in.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jess. And that's what we're trying to accomplish with our gas analysis as
Yeah.
we move forward. That's where we want to, we're not just taking this data, reporting it out, and that's what it is. We need to dig into it, really review it in more detail to better understand what is going on, where are the benefits, what is it covering, to really identify those gaps. And so that
Yeah,
is what we have planned out.
And I'll underscore the value of that, not just for our own uses, but for beyond Virginia. Now that I can talk about the inside baseball of national climate assessment, this kind of information about what projects are being implemented where is one of the huge gaps that several of the chapters faced in being able to complete that assessment. So this is going to be really, really valuable beyond Virginia as well.
So right now we have 659 projects and initiatives in the database. The map on the right is now updated. It looks different than it did in phase one, but yes, it is still a work in progress. We still need to do additional review, clean it up, and really understand what is in here. But thank you all that have given us that information, and now can kind of tying it back to that gaps and needs analysis. The workflow is, we're now updating our flood hazard exposure model, right? Looking at all major flood hazard sources, not just the coastal flooding, but the riverine and the pluvial flooding. What are those impacts to identify where do we need more flood resilience? Then we're looking at, well, what is planned? What do we have in the projects and initiatives inventory? Where are there gaps? And just because there's a gap in our Web Explorer does not mean that is a gap in real life. There may be projects and initiatives going on that just aren't in the Web Explorer. We know that exists, and that did exist in phase one. So trying to figure out where those gaps are, then reaching out to understand, is your locality, is your region working on this? What are you all doing? How can we help to get this into the Web Explorer so we have visibility, your neighbors have visibility, and we can more effectively plan for the future, and then work on really better understanding what is the financial need for flood resilience. If we don't understand what is being done, what people want to do, it's hard to quantify what that financial need for flood resilience. So it's all tied together. We understand it's a lot of work to get this in, and capacity is limited. And we're asking for people to submit their projects and initiatives by April 1st so that we can start combing and processing the data with our contractor to really understand what's in there. If you know you have projects or initiatives that you would like to get entered and just aren't sure how or don't have the capacity, just please let us know. The sooner the better, and we can try to figure out how do we get that information into the system and try to work with you on gathering that information to share it. So I think I covered the next steps. We'll be getting this. Please help spread the word too, to your localities, to any other organizations involved in this work that you think would be beneficial to have their projects and initiatives in this database. We can get them into the system to get this up there. We want to be as comprehensive as available, and if you need help, please let us know. We can try to work with you to figure out how to get your information into the system. Getting access, we have a user form that needs to be filled out and completed. The user form does ask for a supervisor or an owner to approve it. Really, that's some of our QA/QC on our end, to know that people just aren't entering projects that they just want in there, but that there's another level of review that understand this information is going to be shared to the public and that the organization is supporting and moving this project forward. And we've heard back from some of our stakeholders that carrying that message forward to their supervisor to get them to sign off on the form can be a challenge. So we're working on developing a one-pager on what is the Web Explorer, what is the state doing with it, and how does this work for the Commonwealth to help build resilience, to help convey that message to get some more of these user forms signed. So that's a work in progress that we hope to get out soon to you all to help support getting more users into the database. Any questions on the user portal or accessing it? All right.
Not seeing any. Before we move on, I just want to say thanks to Matt and Carolyn and all the folks that have been working on this. This is an amazing product, and I'm really excited about the functionality going forward and how it's going to enable us to really do a better job of having a holistic view of everything that's going on out there, because there is a lot of work being done, and hopefully provides a lot of added value for our local partners and our stakeholders in finding funding sources and, again, getting kind of that full use. I just wanted to say terrific job on that. So hope folks sign up, take advantage of this.
Whitney? Okay. All right, that concludes the DCR update on Coastal Resilience Master Plan Phase 2. We do have a couple little additions to some of the subcommittee report outs, and we'll get into that section now. So we'll start off with the Research, Data, and Innovation Subcommittee. Evan Bernofsky on the line.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Evan, go ahead and start with the report out for the TAC.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Yeah, I think you've gone over actually quite a bit of this already. One of our sort of big focuses has been on the flood hazard exposure model. And so, we went through some overview of that. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. And so, in addition, the pluvial modeling decision points were important. We've had some discussions within the subcommittees about those 3 items. And I think just sort of generally what we've all at a high level been comfortable with, I think it's confident to say, is following Dewberry's recommendations. I know Matt's going to go into a little more detail. And then, a couple of other items, discuss the Phase 2 flood hazard reporting and planning scenarios. We've had some good discussions about that. And then the flood hazard data for the flood protection master plan. So those are kind of some of the big items that we've been focusing so far. On the resilience planning scenarios, these are sort of the three that we've been considering. I'm going to keep going on the next slide. And then during our discussions, this is generally the feedback we've gotten. Simplified set of the scenarios. We could emphasize the median and the upper bounds. We've talked about contacting Marissa to get a status update and also discuss how their data is incorporated. We've also been in touch on that particular point, both with VDOT and DEQ, who are the participating agencies in the Marissa effort. And yeah, just generally, we've had some good conversations about how data is going to be presented to end users. We've actually been sort of trying to consider this from the end user perspective, which would include colleges and universities and just sort of the general public. I think is that all of them? Okay. These are the, yes, data gaps, Matt. I'm probably going to rely on you to go into some further detail on this one. But I think that's pretty much everything. Dewberry has recommended basically all of the steps that we're following. And so I think that's sort of a status update so far.
Thanks, Ed.
Matt, yeah.
Yes. So no, thank you for the update. I'm going to talk about some of the flood hazard data gaps, some of the feedback we got from the subcommittee as well on overall statewide flood hazard data. Consider developing a base level engineering data set or a plan to develop that data, and then just kind of more long-term planning about what data do we need and to be strategic about that to start building that data set for all of Virginia. We talked about that's a long-term process, and should we consider some third-party flood hazard data, the potential legal liability of how that data is incorporated, what decisions are being made. Some of the members brought up that needs to be explored in some more detail. But we are still evaluating that data, and some of the members offered to help out with the third-party flood hazard data evaluation. So the next step, we have our third meeting, so our Q1 24 meeting scheduled for January. We'll be talking more about the phase 2 flood hazard reporting and planning scenarios, and just how we organize and report out on the flood hazard data. We have a lot of information and data with all the recurrence intervals, the different flood types, the different future projections. How do we make that more consumable for people, more digestible so that it can be applied? And then some more discussions on our statewide data, and then start working on some of the recommendations for future plans where we need more research, data, and innovation, not just innovation in data, but innovation broadly to help build flood resilience. So look forward to meeting with you all on that. I've got a few updates on some follow-up items that I've done after the meeting. But before that, do any of the members of the subcommittee have any additional comments they'd like to make? Hearing
Matt,
none, I'm going to move in. Okay.
This is Jess. I just wanted to add on, I had an opportunity to talk with, at AGU this week with Ellen McCrae, who's the Eastern Region Climate Services Director for NOAA. And on the legal liability issue, apparently NOAA General Counsel is looking at this at the federal level right now and does not have an answer either. So we do seem to kind of be on new ground in terms of that private data use. But I can send an email to follow up and get you connected with her directly.
Okay, thanks, Jess. So based on some of the feedback that we got, wanted to focus on some of the phase 2 flood resilience planning scenarios. and just pulled some different quotes out of some different papers, but these scenarios are for planning purposes. We don't know what the future is going to be. It is uncertain, but looking at a range of options, plausible options that can occur, and are we okay with what happens under those different scenarios, and how do we make plans? So that's kind of what we're seeing out of the papers and the new FFRMS and the CESA standard. The best approach, looking at multiple plausible decision-relevant climate scenarios. So not just saying one, and this is what it's going to be, we're going to move forward. Let's look at our options with some uncertainty and have more informed decision-making. So that's what we started talking about with how do we use our current data sets that we have to try to build out these planning scenarios. With our coastal flood hazard values, those are based on, that was 2017 intermediate high values. We've got those at 20-year intervals. With our pluvial data, we have two different climate scenarios, RCP 4.5, 8.5, two different planning horizons, 2020, 2070, 2050, 2100. And on the fluvial side, we really don't have anything yet, although we know there's some FFRMS, Federal Flood Risk Management Standard data that could come out this summer. Whether or not it's going to be ready, I don't know. And so this is kind of an idea that we had, or a slide that I showed at our subcommittee. How do we start picking and choosing, do we go away from a 20-year approach to two different planning horizons that have some range in them, and then two different scenario options in there? And how do we then match up a coastal data, fluvial data for each of those scenarios? And so based on that and the feedback we received on kind of the terminology we were using too, whether it was upper bounds, lower bounds, most likely or likely, and getting into some more statistical or probabilistic language, talk to Marissa. Their feedback was to use more risk tolerance-based message. So if you were going to have two scenarios for time horizon, either a low risk tolerance where you have more critical infrastructure that you don't have the ability to adapt as easily, and if there is exposure and impact, it could have widespread consequences. You don't have a lot of risk tolerance, so you want to use that scenario. Or you are able to have some more individuals or businesses have a more moderate risk tolerance. They could use another scenario to inform their decisions. As far as mixing and matching, especially with our pluvial data, either two different RCPs or using a single RCP and using different confidence intervals, their feedback is that both approaches have been utilized across the country in different planning efforts, and both are defensible. Really, you're just trying to pick information that helps meet your scenario tied to the risk tolerance, and then focus on the decision-making and communication that you're putting forward for planning. We will still have the transparency to show what exact data we're using for each scenario, but that just kind of confuses the public outreach messaging. So simplifying and being consistent with the messaging, focused more on scenarios, different options, different risk tolerances. So that's some of the feedback that we received from Marissa and plan to discuss in some more detail at the next subcommittee meeting. Any comments or questions before I move next to statewide flood hazard data? All right. So just an update on the statewide flood hazard data. We've been talking to a third-party provider, Fathom, to do a flood hazard data evaluation to support the statewide flood protection master plan. Their data offers fluvial, and coastal, not only today, but with different climate change projections with multi-frequency scenarios. So it's a larger, more comprehensive data set. We are looking at it to see, is this a suitable product that we should consider for our statewide planning efforts? So we're going to get a snapshot of some of their data, looking at 2 evaluation sites. One's in Dahlgren, where we have the Coastal Resilience Master Plan coastal flooding data. We have our pluvial pilot study work there as well. So we have newer high-resolution data to compare with their data, as well as the FEMA data. And then we have data, another evaluation site outside of the coastal area in Farmville, which just has FEMA data. And so comparing the FEMA data, which has limits of study, approximate A zones, as well as some dams in there to see some of their defended and undefended data, to review it with the evaluation team to see if it's appropriate. The evaluation team is not just internal to DCR. We have people from VDEM, VDOT, DEQ, HRPDC, EDF, and I think that might be all of them. Actually, BIMS, George Mason. So we tried to have an inclusive evaluation team to look at some of the products DCR will produce from the data, comparing Fathom data versus FEMA data or Fathom data versus our data, to look at, again, is this a suitable product, to try to get some recommendations. Plan on kicking that off early January, trying to get it done in February so that we can make a decision for the statewide plan, which is due in December of 25. So that is in the works, and that is the end of my update on the Research Data Innovation Subcommittee. Any other questions or comments? Subcommittee or the TAC at large?
Not seeing any hands raised right now. Last call. All right, appreciate the Research Data Innovation Subcommittee's work on that. We're going to move to project prioritization. Next, I think is Ken and Marcus. I don't know who's reporting on that.
Marcus is going to be doing the reporting today, as I had a prior commitment during the actual meeting, so Marcus was there for that.
All right.
Happy to provide the update this morning. Good morning, everybody. So subcommittee meets quarterly, and this past meeting we'll talk a little bit about what we discussed, primarily related to the flood assessment, but just talk a little bit about the objectives. Primary objectives are to inform, support the flood hazard risk assessment, which we're going to talk about. Also inform and support the identification of the planned resilience actions and develop recommendations for future planning, which we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the proposed approaches by the subcommittee in DCR as it relates to the flood hazard impact assessment. One was identifying and grouping assets, use the same asset context groupings as phase 1, with obviously some exceptions that have been laid out. And the asset data inputs will be discussed in the next Q1 meeting in 2024. Also, quantifying flood impacts, use the same asset methodology as phase 1 with a couple of exceptions here as it relates to the new pluvial and limited pluvial flood models and where data is available, where new data is available. We're going to look for opportunities there. Number 3, proposed approach for DCR as it relates to reporting findings. Want to develop a new PDF report, provide a little bit more insights, add context and impact stories, add more hotspots, gap analysis, and user impact findings. Also want to, and Matt spoke about this earlier, update existing coastal resilience Web Explorer, make tabular and spatial data available to download, and obviously develop case studies to facilitate use of some of the products. And then finally, some of the themes from the discussion, just some of the highlighted themes were to add some clarity, some additional clarity regarding how state agencies will use the plan. The plan should summarize impact findings using index approaches across jurisdictional and watershed boundaries. Determined that there is value in evaluating natural infrastructure to critical infrastructure status, capturing the value of these assets in a monetized way. And additional measures of jurisdictional resources and capacity could include an assessment of locality staffing and debt capacity. Next steps, DCR will continue to explore and develop an approach to natural infrastructure assets inclusion in the plan with key partners, and Dewberry will review impact assessments related to developing, recommendations and things like that. So a lot of these things will be formalized and discussed, I'm sure, in our next subcommittee meeting. Any
Thank you.
comments?
Are there any comments?
Sorry.
Anything from the rest of the TAC? Any discussion, questions on what was presented?
Moving on to the funding subcommittee report out. Sean, I think I saw you on there earlier.
Yes, good morning. So just to review the funding subcommittee objectives, attempting to identify the financial need for flood resilience, what specific funding needs should be included in the phase 2 report, of which may guide some appropriation needs. Identify and examine financial tools and processes that can be implemented for flood resilience, identifying challenges and opportunities, and then making recommendations for future planning. In particular, an approach to identifying the financial need. So we met on November 2nd, virtually. We had a presentation on financial resilience tools, discussed lines of effort and the needs across those lines of effort, and then next steps. So we had an invited guest, Jimmy Sanderson from Davenport and Company, who has expertise in service districts, special tax districts, community development authorities, TIFs, and also talked about regional taxing authorities in the transportation space. So all of these items are available to local governments and or multiple local governments now, and they have historically been used for other types of infrastructure such as water and sewer, transportation, stormwater, and the plan is to describe these for the report and how these can be applied to resilience efforts. So, all of these tools create revenue. So either, if it's not appropriate for the entire county tax base to fund a project or service the debt related to a project, these really create revenue streams that are currently not available in existing budgets. They can be combined within a locality. And we talked about an example of Fairfax County, that the entire county is the service district, and there's a 1 penny tax that revenue can only be used for stormwater improvements. Of course, you can't continue to layer on special district after special district. So there are just financial feasibility limitations. You can create multi-jurisdictional service districts. They would both have to adopt simultaneous ordinances to do so. And then we did touch on CDAs, which can cross multiple localities. The one thing, the difference between maybe a service district and a CDA to talk about is service districts are generally created by local governments. Community development authorities are mostly driven by the landowners themselves. How do we share this information was discussed, and we'll probably take some examples or case study type approach. And then other opportunities for the state to support these financial tools that are currently available. So focusing on 4 lines of effort to the extent possible. What is the financial baseline? How to make the financial case? Where are the opportunities for state support? And the best manner to provide guidance and information. So with the building the financial baseline, we could, it might be important to inventory a baseline assessment, an economic baseline, including GDP, population, other demographic type information. And then what is the financial capacity and funding readiness of localities to take on resilient type products versus all of the other activities of local governments? And then how do we layer on or overlay federal and state funding priorities, both at federal and state levels? So making the financial case, there was a survey done for the phase 1 report. And here we're just looking, okay, what do we look at in the results from the phase 1 to inform the phase 2 survey? And Matt, I don't know if you wanted to cover anything specifically on this survey.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we heard back from about half the PDCs and localities in phase 1, and where people had a pretty good understanding of the risk that they face. As we kind of go down the spectrum as what can they do about it, how do we plan for it and fund those options, we start to decrease our capacity from significant awareness and understanding and capacity down to where we get to funding, and for the most part, there's just very little and some capacity. So it just helps us understand where the need is. People understand where it's flooding, but trying to figure out how to fund projects and capacity or projects and initiatives to deal with it, that's the biggest challenge. I think we're aware, just some of the data we collected kind of mirrors that. And then some of the other data we had from that phase 1 survey, again, for the most part, a lot of the respondents from PDCs and localities, the primary financial tool that people are considering are grants. But then these other options are much less concerned on the taxes, fees, other loans. So what do we need to do to support this is kind of what we're trying to learn from and gather. Is this changed at all? And that's another part of our end user survey that's out right now, is to help inform some of the financial components of what's in the plan.
The line of effort 3, just documenting opportunities for state support. There are obviously some locality driven efforts, and how do you compare that to the state led effort that's being supported by locals? Where are the existing programs, opportunities, and gaps? And then really looking beyond Virginia, looking at what other states are implementing, and then are there opportunities for state-led training for any of these financial tool implementations? So, and then line of effort 4 is how do we really get this information out there, and how is it communicated in terms of available funding, various different tools such as service districts? How do we make this relevant to Virginia and its communities? Providing a process map for implementation. And then we have another category of exploring parametric insurance, some of the hurdles that we are aware of and how do we overcome them. And then also, public versus private land ownership and the issues that go along with that. And then before the next meeting, subcommittee members should be submitting additional financial needs across the lines of effort. And at the next meeting, DCR will provide an overview of other state financial tools, and subcommittee members will prioritize financial needs and discuss what we should put in the phase 2 report versus what's going to happen in the future.
Thanks, Sean. Any comments from the subcommittee members or the TAC at large?
So there was one question in the chat from Caitlin Jordan about whether we have an inventory of which localities are using the revenue tools for resilience discussed. I think we presented on slide 62 the results of the phase 1 survey with regard to, we did ask a question about which tools you've used. I don't believe it entered into all of the detail of the different financial tools that Sean presented. We do also have the current end user survey out, as Matt mentioned. Again, it doesn't get into the weeds of each of those tools that were mentioned, but I think with the environmental scan that was mentioned on slide 63, I imagine that will be a topic addressed in that to some level of specificity around which of these tools are already being used. Matt, is that fair to say?
Yes, yeah, I think that's, again, an opportunity for the state to help facilitate knowledge sharing, where one locality has implemented and gone through the process. If there's other localities that are interested in doing it, trying to help share that information to get these other tools adopted more broadly, and try to help them understand what's needed, as well as potentially providing some support on the capacity side to get that implementation done.
Matt, this is Louis. It may help in this finance section if you include political will and political courage. If the pain points rise to such a degree, local government has the ability to generate revenue when they want to generate revenue to deal with critical expenses or critical problems. And so it's kind of misleading to talk about all of these tools without recognizing if you don't have political will to utilize the tools, they're no good. They just sit there, which has been the case in many cases. But when the pain points rise to a certain level, that's when the exercise of political courage happens, and local governments are more likely to utilize the tools because they have to.
Thanks, Louis. I think that is a great point. I think we talked about in our subcommittee, what are the hurdles, right? We've listed all these tools, but what are the hurdles? What's preventing implementation and trying to get more feedback? And political will and courage is definitely one of them. And I think we see it in that the slide where we're looking at what the PDCs and localities considered for different sources of funding for these types of projects, primarily grants. The other sources that we talked about earlier can work, the loans and other fee-based structures, but they're harder to implement, maybe not structurally, but more politically. Thanks, Louis.
Yeah, it's just Sean. I mean, there's local decision-making is absolutely a factor, and we can observe what one locality is willing to do versus its neighbor would never do what they did. So it's a good point.
Matt, speaker has a question.
Hey, Speaker, I'm on the road. This is more of a point of information. I don't know whether this was looked at or not, but if folks on the TAC will may recall, some folks on the TAC may recall this. When we had the intergovernmental pilot project, a number of years ago, the legal committee, which I was co-chair of at the time, developed a spreadsheet of different legal authorities for doing coastal flooding, in particular coastal flooding resiliency work, which, as I recall, included the authority for raising, for generation of revenue to help finance the work, as well as some other aspects. It was a big spreadsheet, and I don't know if that has come up in any of the discussions to date, but it might be just maybe as a gut check, or some of it may be a little dated at this point given the passage of time, but it was pretty thorough examination of that, and we had folks from different lawyers who were involved in that process, as well as others, kind of helping develop that spreadsheet. So that if that's of value, I can try to dig it up and shoot it around. But just thought I'd mention that. And like I said, some members of the TAC who were involved in the IPP process may recall that as well. That's it.
Yeah, I think if you could send that to staff, we'd love to take a look at it.
Okay, will do.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions?
Did Caitlin have?
We have addressed their comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and moving on to the Outreach and Coordination Subcommittee. Chief Brown or Michael Perez on?
Michael on the line.
Okay.
All right, Michael, take it away. Michael, if you're talking, you're muted.
I can take over if Michael's not available.
Yeah, Michael, if you're able to come off, you can jump in, but just keep it moving. We're going to have Carolyn go ahead and get started.
Great. All right. So just a reminder of the Outreach and Coordination Subcommittee's objectives. So there are 3 objectives for the subcommittee, like all the others. Firstly, inform and support outreach engagement for this plan, helping to identify and prioritize stakeholders, and then advise on the goals and strategies. Secondly, to strengthen relationships with key stakeholders identified as critical. So once we have identified those stakeholders to engage, helping us actually build those relationships. And then, like all the subcommittees, we will be working on developing recommendations for future planning. So at our last meeting, the Q4 meeting of the subcommittee, I presented some updates on the full updated strategy for outreach and engagement for the subcommittee's feedback. This included information on the goals, stakeholders, and engagement methods that we would propose to be using. We requested the subcommittee's feedback on any revisions that were needed to the strategy before we went ahead with implementation. Specifically, we wanted feedback on how we could identify priority localities, community-based organizations, and information sharing networks to help us with our messaging and the ability to actually reach our intended audiences. And then lastly, we also requested feedback on some proposed metrics for monitoring progress towards the success of this strategy. So I'll actually, next on our agenda is for me to present the strategy in detail, so we'll go through that in a minute. But what we heard in response from the subcommittee to what was presented was that we should, kind of on an overarching basis, focus more on leveraging and coordinating with existing outreach and engagement efforts wherever possible. So a specific example of this was given as the Eastern Shore COPE-funded project led by the UVA Environmental Institute. So we asked, as a response to this, the subcommittee to help us to identify other ongoing similar outreach engagement efforts that we might be able to leverage for the benefit of this work. And then secondly, an overarching comment was to make sure wherever possible we're minimizing barriers to participation, recognizing that everybody is busy, a lot of people are under-resourced and have limited capacity. We need to minimize those barriers so folks can actually join the conversation when we're asking for their feedback. We did talk about feedback on some of the specific strategies. So for tribal engagement, the suggestion was made to connect with all tribes within the coastal region via an initial meeting prior to any efforts to establish kind of smaller working groups within the tribal organizations. And then secondly, for locality engagement, there was feedback on our approach to prioritizing the localities with which we would meet. So specifically, be sure not to discount localities who are already or recently participating in the Resilience Adaptation Feasibility Tool, or the RAFT program, because those are the localities who have received a lot of great capacity support and are now in a position where they're well prepared to engage in this type of discussion. Secondly, make sure to include towns in meetings as well as other local governments. And then lastly, make sure that we're considering, when we're prioritizing localities, that there are multiple forms of flood risk, only one of which was captured in the Phase 1 plan. Make sure to think about those fluvial and riverine impacts when we're thinking about which localities might have an important stake or interest in participating. Next steps from this, so DCR staff is working on incorporating feedback on the strategy, which I'll actually present in just a minute. And then we had a next step to connect offline with subcommittee members for additional feedback, which we've been following up on and have some additional meetings in the next couple of weeks. We also asked, as I previously mentioned, for TAC subcommittee members to share information with us about what known outreach and engagement efforts already exist, so that we can better coordinate with those efforts. Are there any comments from other members of the subcommittee regarding that update? Okay, any other feedback from the TAC at large?
Okay, we're going to move on to new business, talk about outreach and engagement, like Carolyn said, and then we'll have a TAC member discussion, and then finally we'll move on to, I think, public comment after that. Take it away.
Great. So I'm going to get into the details of that outreach and engagement strategy now. So this includes the updates I was mentioning based on the feedback we received that we've just covered. Firstly, I want to reiterate that we're not kind of starting from zero with this strategy. We do have our community outreach and engagement plan, which is really a framework for stakeholder engagement across all of DCR's resilience planning efforts at the state level. We've been working on an update to that draft. The first draft was published in December of 2022. And then secondly, we're also building on the existing engagement that happened during Phase 1. So during the funding subcommittee report out, we shared some of the results of a survey that was conducted during the Phase 1 plan. That type of information is important, and a lot of it is still relevant to this Phase 2 plan. So we're not discounting it. We want to continue using it and building upon that as we move into this Phase 2 plan. So now I'm going to discuss the specific goals, methods, and resources that we've identified for this plan. So our goals for this outreach and engagement effort are firstly to understand our end user needs. And this is an engagement strategy, understanding particularly for localities, planning district commissions, state agencies, and tribes, our primary intended end users of this plan, how they can use the products we're actually developing. And now if you click again, those products should show up. So all of these products that are on the slide here, how are those actually going to be used by our end users? Secondly, understanding lived experiences with flooding. So we're doing a lot of modeling that we previously discussed to understand quantitatively where flooding is expected to occur both now and into the future. But we'd like to contextualize that information with the feedback and the lived experiences of people who are actually dealing with that flooding on the ground. Thirdly, we want to understand existing flood resilience efforts. So we've already talked extensively in this meeting about the projects and initiatives and the gaps analysis that we're collecting. Really the most critical part of this is contextualizing our content with information about what's already going on in the planning area. And then lastly, this final goal, goal 4, is an outreach strategy, or more of an information sharing strategy, where we're trying to empower action through driving awareness of and helping the community toward coastal flood resilience. And so the next slide has more information on what that means. Through that 4th goal, through our outreach, we're hoping to inform stakeholders of, firstly, the fact that this plan exists and what it contains and how they might be able to use it. Secondly, We want to make sure that folks understand what opportunities exist for them to participate in engagement activities throughout the planning process. So those goals 1 through 3, how can they get involved in providing their feedback on that? And then lastly, specifically for underserved communities, which I'll talk about in a minute as one of our key audiences, we want to be able to provide them with information to advocate on behalf of decisions to build flood resilience in their communities. At the bottom of the slide here, you can see the different ways in which we've grouped the engagement and the outreach strategies, which I will talk more about on the next slide. So once we had our goals established, one of the things we did early in this process together with the subcommittee and also with internal folks here at DCR was to do a stakeholder mapping process. So we went through an exercise to map different stakeholders based on their potential level of interest and their level of influence or capacity to make changes in the flood resilience space relevant to this coastal plan, statewide coastal plan. So the results of that were used to group stakeholders that were identified into these 2 columns that you see on the screen here. And importantly, this is meant to be a summary. We did get into a lot more detail than what's shown on this slide, but for the purposes of summarizing, we did group together stakeholders into these kind of larger categories. We have a more detailed dashboard that we're using to identify and track stakeholder involvement as an internal tool. So on the left-hand side, you can see our Tier 1 stakeholders. Those are really the stakeholders we found would be most influential and most interested in the state's Coastal Resilience Master Plan. We'll see state agencies, planning district commissions, local governments. A lot of our primary desired end users for the plan fall into this category, as well as some of those different entities and organizations that may be supporting them or otherwise engaged in supporting flood resilience planning at the state level or the regional level. On the right-hand side, you'll see our consult-informed Tier 2 stakeholder types. Also very important, these are the stakeholders that will work with more on the outreach side of things, but also provide opportunities for them to engage through things like feedback through public comment and sharing webinar information. I'll talk more about the strategies in a minute. So you'll see this is private sector other than kind of flood resilience service providers, non-governmental organizations, community-based organizations, and then just the public at large.
I do want to put a point on that, like Carolyn said, that these are how we have organized the groups for the purposes of developing this plan. It doesn't mean that the Tier 2 groups are somehow lesser or have less of a stake in flooding, but for the purposes of developing this plan, this is sort of how we have bucketed things.
One of the other things that the subcommittee asked us to take a look at was where we had lower participation during the Phase 1 plan to help us better prioritize stakeholders for engagement in Phase 2. So looking at those Tier 1 stakeholders, we took a look at those Tier 1 stakeholders' participation in Phase 1 engagement activities, so those activities that would give them more of an involved opportunity to participate in giving feedback on the plan. What we found was that some localities, particularly those that were more rural, with lower vulnerability to coastal flooding in particular, had lower participation. Also some that were state agency boards and commissions, and then critical infrastructure owners and our tribes. So you'll see on the right side of this chart the ways in which we plan on engaging these different stakeholders in Phase 2. I'll note that on the state agency side, you'll probably notice that some of these gaps have already been filled through the updated membership of the TAC, which was different during the Phase 1 plan development process. Okay, so what are we actually doing? What are the activities that we have planned? This is a summary. I'm not going to go through all of them in detail. There is also a summary available now on DCR's Phase 2 website, so you can check it out there. We have, on the most collaborative end of the spectrum, number 1 here is our TAC. So you all providing feedback through these meetings directly to DCR, helping us make decisions like the ones that we discussed earlier when it comes to the pluvial modeling, is a really important way for us to get input on this plan. We're also planning additional efforts in the involved spectrum. We're looking at our user portal promotion and education and data calls. We've already discussed this. Getting feedback through information on projects and initiatives, through that user portal. And if folks can't use the user portal, we'll work with you to figure out how to get your input into the Web Explorer. Additionally, we're working with VDEM and their planned critical infrastructure working group. We are planning to have a series of tribal engagement meetings and a series of locality meetings, again, prioritizing those localities who have been less engaged in phase one and who do experience some level of flood risk. And then on the consulting side, we do have our ongoing end user survey, which you've heard about already, and which there's a link in the chat for, to gather feedback specifically on that first goal for outreach and engagement. How are people actually going to be using this plan? We're planning those underserved community meetings. These are meant to accomplish particularly our outreach goals, and under that, the specific strategy around empowering underserved communities with information to advocate on behalf of their decisions. For this, we're hoping to partner with community-based organizations wherever possible to have the biggest, the best opportunity to connect with those communities. Endpoint public comment, we are planning to have a public comment period at the conclusion of the plan's development. We are planning to have a new Web Explorer participatory mapping and feedback tool. Hoping to have more information to share on that very soon, but have been discussing the development of that. Basically an opportunity for anyone to drop on the map information about where they've experienced flooding and what the impact of flooding has looked like for them, along with a photo. So it would be something to capture feedback both for this plan and potentially other uses for us as a state, but also sharing back to individuals and localities who might be interested in using it. We also have monthly NGO coordination meetings and are planning to host midpoint and endpoint public meetings virtually, basically webinars where we're sharing information about the plan. I want to emphasize the box on the right side of the screen here. We may choose to replace or alter methods where it's possible to partner with existing and ongoing engagement efforts, again, based on the subcommittee's feedback, where we should really try to leverage existing efforts wherever possible. So we're keeping that open. The strategy, when it comes to these specific activities, is meant to be flexible and adaptable, recognizing that the reality of engagement is that it doesn't always go as planned, and sometimes there's opportunities to change course in order to have the best impacts and the best outcomes towards our goals.
Carolyn, there was just a comment in the chat about renaming or calling them different things in tier 1 and tier 2, and there was a recommendation, maybe it's green and blue.
Okay, great. Well, let's come back to that when we have discussion, because I'd like to talk about that a little bit more with the group. Thank you for the comment. I'm going to continue, and then we'll talk. We have a slide for discussion in just a second. So for public outreach campaign, we are planning, we know we need to get the word out about these different opportunities that we're sharing. Some of these, particularly like the webinar, the public comments, the participatory mapping tool, are things that we're geared towards the general public. And for these, we've got a few different methods that we're planning for this public outreach campaign. The purpose here is really to make sure that folks know about public participation opportunities, and then secondly, just build awareness of the plan on an ongoing basis. So you can see here the different methods we are planning, including newsletters, social media, presentations to key information sharing networks, etc. So our schedule, you'll see here a list of the various kind of key milestones in this process that align with the strategies I've mentioned. Right now, STARD, one more reminder, we are collecting feedback in response to our end user survey. We would love for all members of the TAC to respond to that and to help us share it out with your networks, particularly to get to those primary plan end users, the localities, the planning district commissions, state agencies, and tribal governments. And this overall schedule will take us through December of 2024, when we are planning to host kind of that final meeting to launch the plan, share information about the final plan, and request public comment. Slide. Okay, I know there was a comment about stakeholder.
Yeah, so Jess had a suggestion of calling them primary end users or secondary end users, and Greg suggested green or blue tiers. So I think we'll take those recommendations, because I think we can probably refine those names a little bit going forward. So I think those are well taken suggestions.
Absolutely, and I will say, for the purposes of how we're presenting this publicly on our website, we don't have that tier 1, tier 2 listing posted there. It's more focused on the different types of engagement that we're offering. So definitely we will take a look at that and think about how to incorporate it into what we're sharing to the public.
And then speaker has a question or comment.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
hey guys. Yeah, thanks. Just wanted to reiterate, I guess, something I said a while ago, it's been months ago, but encourage is reaching out to industry trade groups as part of this outreach, particularly for those industries that are would be particularly affected by resiliency planning and based on their business operations or facility locations. So thinking about folks that are have shoreline terminal facilities or operate in coastal areas. So different trade groups. Just thinking about how you can connect with those and get for them in their regular meetings as a way to spread the word. I don't think that would be very effective. They're already going to be there in a sense. It wouldn't take extra effort on their end to hear it, if you will, or go to some other additional meeting of some kind. So just wanted to mention that as a venue or a set of venues that should be considered. And I'm happy to facilitate on that front as much as I can with, say, Virginia Maritime Association. We chair the Environmental Affairs Committee for that. So, but there are others like Hampton Roads Area Commercial Real Estate Association and some others that would be probably interested to hear in that regard too. So, just food for thought on that front. That's it.
And Speaker, I think that's a good point, and it's something that we've been discussing internally as well. We do have a couple of touch point opportunities identified now, sort of breaking them into private sector flood resilience service providers, right? So engineering firms, things like that, economic development partnerships,
right.
And some of the trade groups may bleed into that. And then just generally kind of in the second level of engagement, private sector groups, so Maritime Association, chambers, groups like
right.
that. And
exactly.
Obviously, if there are groups that want to be heavily involved, I think we welcome that. So if folks have groups that you all are aware of, send them to us because they may, we're aware of some of the bigger organizations, but some of the smaller ones might not be on our radar. So that's an excellent point.
There's mitigation banking groups. There's, any number of folks that would have a play in this one way or the other. Aquaculture, shellfish industry, the folks that do aquaculture might be interested in, so we can talk offline further. I just wanted to kind of get that in. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Speaker. Any other comments from TAC members? Any comments generally before we head into public comment? I know that was a lot of an update, and I appreciate staff and all of our subcommittee chairs for all the work that they've done and the subcommittee members. Last call for general commentary from the TAC members. Okay. Not seeing any at this time. We will move to public comment. Wheeler, do we have anyone who has asked to speak?
No one has asked to speak.
All right. Since we have no public comment, that concludes the agenda. So unless anyone on the TAC has thought of something that they wish they had said 30 seconds ago that they haven't said yet.
I do have a message from an M. Moore in my chat, interested, from resident of Chesapeake. I don't know if you would like to speak now during public comment. You can come off mute. Otherwise, we can connect offline. Okay, she does not wish to speak. So.
All right. Okay. Well, not hearing anything else from the membership of the TAC, I want to thank everyone for a really good discussion. We got a lot of content in an hour and a half. Our next meeting will be in person, so we will be looking for dates that work. I know most of the folks on this group are also involved in the legislative session, so it's about to get real busy for all of us, but we will need to do this next meeting in person, so be on the lookout for that. Again, want to thank all the members of TAC. Hope everyone has a very happy holidays, happy New Year, and thanks again for your interest and your commitment in helping us move the ball forward on this. Thanks, everybody.